Saludos and salutations, Broncos country, and welcome back into another exciting episode of Broncos Talk. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got a banger for you today. Libre and I, yes, Libre is finally back. I know you guys were ranting and raving. Where was Libre? We want Libre. We heard you. We worked out with him. We talked to his agent. We convinced him to come back. So Libre is backstage. He cannot wait to come back and tell you guys everything about the game up against the New York Jets, the good, the bad, and the Baki, as we like to say around here. Plus, we got your upcoming matchup against the next New York team, which is the Giants. Also, your favorite segment of Broncos Overtime is coming back as well at the very end, top end of the hour, I guess you could say. And let's see who's in the lead in the prediction. So, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure your food is warm, your beer is cold, and that you're comfortable as hell, because you are not going to want to miss a single episode of today's show. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's like we like to start off every single win on the show. How about them Broncos? And welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adan, and joining me, as always, to my left or right, depending on which way you're watching, is my co-host back from vacation, the Bronco Libre.
What's happening, Broncos country? Let's go.
Bronco Libre, don't ever leave me to do a show again, because people had to stare at this face for over an hour. And I'm pretty sure Johnny's complaint inbox is probably full. Okay.
You know, Broncos Talk faithful, just know that I had a great time drinking lots and lots of beer this last week.
You know what? I keep forgetting to go restock, bro. I need Corona. If you could sponsor us, well, that way. No. We only want the best on this show. Okay, Modelo. If you're listening, we will take you as on the Libre side. You know, don't get me wrong. I like a good Modelo once in a blue moon, but Corona is always my go-to.
Modelo time. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have got a great show for you today. If this is your first time in, welcome. If not, welcome back. Before we like to start every show, we want to get a couple things out of the way before we start talking any and all things Broncos football related. As always, Libre and I would first like to ask you guys for your support here on the network. And that starts with subscribing, sharing, and comment or liking this show. If there's anything you heard me and Libre talk or say that you agree or don't agree or have a comment on, please feel free to hit us up on the comment section, and we will get back to you as soon as we can with our comments. And if you're up to date with us, there are plenty of other orange and blue shows you guys can watch here on the network until we are ready to come back to you. For our audio listeners, 5-star reviews are always well appreciated. And if you can screenshot it and send it to our Twitter handles, they're right there at the very bottom of the screen. Libre and I would be more than happy to shout you guys out here live on the air. My Twitter handle is at 6'10" Mexican. Bronco Libre is at Bronco Libre 5280. For any business inquiries, you can email at broncostalk2020@gmail.com. Shout out to our TikTok audience. If there's any questions or anything you guys want to ask us, you guys are more than likely free to ask us on the air. Libre and I will be more than happy to answer you guys. And please, we do apologize if we do not see your comments on the air, especially me, because I have this weird angle where people are looking up my nose. So I do apologize.
I'm now looking on TikTok, and I see you have a couple of mocos right there. I see it.
Yeah,
Uy, sucio.
As we say in Spanish, no es sábado, so no me toca bañarme. So, shout out to our sponsor of today's show, Libre, which is Dubby. Basically, Dubby has no sugar, calories, maltodextrin, fillers, or artificial colors. It's formulated with nothing but amino acids, B vitamins, and nootropics, including their patented neurofactor formula and the caffeine, which is derived directly from the coffee fruit. As Libre and I like to say, it's basically all the good stuff without all the bad. And to show you guys how awesome W is, and the guys over at the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast, which is the flagship show here on our network, they want to hook you guys up when you use the code OBN10 for 10% off your purchase order at checkout. Again, that code is OBN10 to get your 10% off your order at checkout. Shout out to W and the guys over at the Nothing Rhymes with for hooking you, me, and Libre up with this amazing code and discount, and for W for being a continued sponsor on all the shows here on our network. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't done so already and you're new to the channel, we'd like to give you the show schedule for the season. All the times that I'm going to mention are in Mountain Time, so please keep that in mind. On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we have the Orange and Blue Blitz at 11 a.m. with Isaiah, the Bronco Gentleman Henderson. Always good way to start the middle of, or not start, but get, Broncos news in the middle of the day. Always great. Then we have the Broncos Bros at Mondays at 7 p.m. We have the flagship show, the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue, Tuesdays at 6. We have the Mahai Symposium, which airs just before we do on Wednesdays at 2:30 for those that are Avalanche and Nuggets fans. And then, of course, the show you're currently watching. And we have Viva Los Broncos, which comes back this Friday at 6 p.m. Please keep in mind that Viva Los Broncos is an all Spanish-led podcast. So it is me and Libre talking in Spanish. For any breaking Broncos news, we have the Fresh Squeeze, which comes on the air right away as soon as the news hits the airwaves. So please make sure you hit that live. They have that live little notification bell on so you get live updates as they happen. Also, before every game day, we have 1 hour before kickoff, we have the Get Bucked pregame show where the guys break down all the news and any latest updates going into that day's game. And then right after the game, regardless of the ending, we have the Buck Your Feelings postgame show where Johnny Baki is starting to let us curse a little bit more. So I am really, really loving that.
I didn't catch this one right after the game just because it was so early in the morning. Mm-hmm. And I was just so exhausted from working Beer Fest. Like I powered through watching the game this weekend, but having to get up early after working like 12 to 14-hour days for the last week, being able to watch that was hard enough. But throughout the day after the Bronco game, I tried watching the rest of the games, but I was in and out because of how exhausted I was. But I wish I would have catched the after, like, the Buck Your Feelings show, because if we're going to be allowed to do that, I'm going to have to tap in, because there's times where you're like saying WTF, and I'm not talking about Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Well, since you opened up Pandora's box, Libre, let me just say that in regards to that game, and you and I were kind of talking about it a little bit before the show backstage, that was one of the games where I feel almost every single team, regardless of how good they are in the rankings or wherever, where it's a bad day at the office. Everybody in life has a bad day at the office. I feel for the Broncos, that's what that was. They were riding the high off of beating the Eagles. They literally flew to London straight. They didn't even get to go home in Denver and do none of the stuff that most away teams do. So they flew straight overseas. Now, I've never been on a plane overseas, Libre, so I can't sit here and tell you I know what that feels like, what jet lag is. But even though they were there for a week, I like to think that stuff like that kind of takes a toll. And, you're in a different time zone, first of all. And I'm not trying to make excuses for the record. I'm just trying to tell you why I think the Broncos offense played the way they played. And I just think that they were I think the offense underestimated the Jets, because the Jets were going into this game 0-5, Libre. And what I think that the Broncos offense is starting to do is that they're starting to show signs of regression in terms of it's like, okay, well, we can go out and try wide receiver screens on third down for some freaking reason. We can go out and make mistakes where Troy Franklin fumbles the ball, or, thank God Bo Nix didn't throw a pick in this game, but if he did, it almost feels like the offense is playing kind of loosely, Libre, where they can go out and they can try all these gadget and trick plays or make mistakes and always expect the Broncos defense to bail them out. And to me, I don't like that feeling, because if the Broncos are going to be a team that are going to be taken seriously, they can't always go in there and play like that. What we saw in that game offensively was terrible. There's no other way to put it. It was literally the Broncos playing with their food in some sort of way, but it was the defense that literally picked up the slack and gave us that win, because the Broncos offense, Libre, made so many mistakes that I don't know what the hell Sean Payton was thinking. I honestly couldn't.
I agree with you 100%. I do not understand what was going on with that offense. I'm just glad that our defense showed up in London, because I heard it all week long, even at Beer Fest when I was working, getting it set up and all that. Some of the other people, they're saying, nope, this is a trap game. This is a trap game for the Broncos. This is the Jets. They're 0-5 coming in here. You guys are going to take them weak. And I felt like Sean Payton in some ways feel like was not put the offense in a position for them to succeed. But I'm just glad that we have our defense that we have, because without this defense, we would have lost this game easily. And it was a sorry ass game. And for the offensive side. The defense, you couldn't ask them to do anything more. You had, especially with the Troy Franklin's fumble there, the third play of the game, where that was a first takeaway. We gave them the first takeaway of the year, and then just being able to hold them down to just the 3 points, and then that big return that they had just to 3 points. I think that was our saving grace that we had, is our defense, and then them not losing it for us. You can only do so much, because you already put them in field goal position itself, and being able to stop that, you can't ask any more of your defense to do that, unless you're asking them to do a pick six or whatever, or at least getting more turnovers than what we did. But other than that, because of what they did, our offense at that point suffered. But I'm just glad we're on pace to get that sack record of the 85 Bears. We already have 10 sacks more than the next team to us. So if we can continue this, it's going to be good.
Well, I will say, Libre, that I'm starting to see I don't want to say regression, but I am starting to see more and more Broncos fans start to call for Sean Payton to give up the play calling. Let the offensive coordinator take over play calling. Hell, there was one even article where they want Davis Webb, the quarterback's coach, to maybe take a chance at calling some offensive plays, because I'm not the most informative football fan, Libre, so I can't sit here and talk to you about analytics and plays and all that stuff, talk to you like a head coach, because that's not me. Fortunately, my knowledge of football is only so much limited. But what I can tell you is that I don't think that every other play should be a wide receiver screen. If it's third down, why is it always a wide receiver screen and it fails? Because it's like the defense knows it's coming.
Well, it's because they're putting us in a situation that they already know what Sean Payton is about. So if they're going to go in there and put them in third and long, it's depending on that distance as well. If it's third and long, they're going to automatically go, all right, we already know. Look at the formation that they're in. It's that wide receiver screen. I feel that Sean Payton is only setting it up that he maybe will break a tackle, but it doesn't work. We've seen it week after week after week that it doesn't work, where it's just more of getting you in a position to punt the ball. And, Crawshaw, he's doing good. The rookie's doing good, but we don't want to put him out there all the time. Actually, let's go out there. In that scenario we had a couple weeks ago, that Monday night where there was that 4-and-1, the 4th and 1, and we punted the ball. But this time we had a 4th and 7 or something like that, 4 and 6, and we went for it and we actually got it. So I don't know what situational stuff that he's looking at. Like, I know he has that big old play sheet, and it gives him a breakdown. If it's 4 and long, 4 and short, or third, whatever the case may be, like he has that already set as like what they're going to be doing for these play calling. But I think that, and I was actually just talking with somebody at work today as well. And it's like we need to, they need to open up the playbook more for Bo. Just let him go out there. Like we need to get our run game established first. And if we can't get that, at least do the quick dump offs. If we can get dump offs, which is an extension of a run, and if we can get that and get them off their feet and get them on the back of their feet and rolling back and not knowing what our offense is going to do, that's what we need to do. But it's the same thing like last year, is that we get predictable and then we become one-dimensional, and that's when we have problems where we can't do anything on the offensive side. Just like with the Broncos defense, what we're doing right now, we're making teams be one-dimensional right now, and that's why Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper, defensive player of the week. We got back-to-back players, defensive player of the week so far, and with Jonathan Cooper doing what he did, ending the game the way that he did it was awesome.
I got to tell you also, I don't know what that deal was with Pert. I don't wish injury on anybody, Libre, but that man played terrible.
But you know what? Now that you say that, though, I don't know if you saw this yesterday. They placed him on IR.
Yeah.
So with whatever happened to him, I guess he sustained the injury early in the first quarter, and he played the rest of the game that way. And you could definitely tell that there was something going on because he was slow off the ball. There was something going on, and it's like over and over and over. It's like, oh my God, like you just get him out, like get somebody else in there. They actually put him on IR yesterday, so he's out minimum 4 weeks. We put up one of our offensive linemen that was on the practice squad, that he was on the team last year as well. So he's very knowledgeable of what this offense is. So hopefully he comes in, steps in. We're going to have a good test this upcoming Sunday. But I think our defense is going to be, especially for our defense, I think because of how hot they're coming in right now off of the last several weeks, I think that our defense, it will take care of them. But our offensive line, I feel like hopefully we can get him in here. I think his name is Calvin. I can't remember. Like, it's a big old long last name, but he's coming in. Yeah, so he's coming in. Hopefully he's going to be a good replacement for that left guard position because we need it, right? We need it bad.
I'm surprised that the Broncos themselves didn't trade for an offensive guard because that's what I felt was probably needed to happen once Ben Powers went down. Not so much in terms of trying to replace somebody of his caliber, Libre, but just somebody who can hold down the line while Ben Powers is hurt. Because from what we know or what we think, we're hearing that Ben Powers could be out until December-ish, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. Yeah.
So
Torres pectoral. So yeah.
Yeah, Torres pectoral. So depending on where the Broncos are in standings, by the time he's cleared to come back, it'll be a big question of, is it worth it to put him back out there if the season, let's say, is not where the Broncos expect it to be? Or are they in a dire position where they, needed him right away? So there's a lot of questions there answered. I'm surprised that the Broncos themselves, going so far into this month, have not been buyers, because I would have figured that they would have bought, either an offensive lineman, a piece of the defense in terms of linebacker, because as I told you before the show, Dre Greenlaw is off of IR. Now, it still remains to be seen if he'll be activated to the 53-man roster and to see if we'll actually see him play against the Giants this Sunday.
No, well, and why I feel like they are not buyers quite yet, they had Perth on there as a backup, for a reason. So they had confidence in him already. So it just happened that he got injured as well. It just sucks that that's what happened. And now we have another guy that was on their practice squad. So you're going to want to bring somebody that already knows the playbook, what's going in. That's why we had him on the practice squad in the first place. Now that he's now pulled up, let's look at it this week. If he struggles this weekend, then at that point, then I'll say, you know what? We need to go out there and get a guard that's going to be someone that's going to be able to play and be in that limited role until Powers gets back. So that's why you don't go out there and and buy right away, because you don't want to do that, because that's why you have that practice squad. That's why you have that as people in the bank. I think we even picked up somebody from the Raiders practice squad this week too. I think that's what happened as well. I can't remember who it was, but I briefly saw it this afternoon, and I was like, oh dang, we just poached right off of the Raiders practice squad. So that's why you have them there. That's why you're not automatic buyers yet, unless you're gonna get somebody like as a free agent or someone's practice squad like we just did as well. That's what you want to do first and foremost. But if you're looking to get a good quality backup that's out there, that's on a 53-man roster, then that's when you try to become buyers and say, all right, I'll give you a 5th or 6th rounder for him, or 7th rounder, for him. And then of course there's all those conditions as well. It's like, well, if he plays X amount of plays and so forth, then the other team that traded away gets all these other stuff as well. So that's something to think about as well. So it's not that they become buyers right away. That's why you have backups and practice squad players.
When you're right. See, this is exactly why I needed you last week, Libre, because I don't have that type of insight. I don't see things the way you do sometimes. So it's like I probably should have had you over the phone.
As much as I would have tried to be on the phone, I wouldn't. All you would have been hearing me saying, no, I need to have you go over there. Go and do that. Now I have you 4 right here. Go do this. Like, that's all. I was managing the whole setup of the thing. So that was Wednesday night. That was like the crazy part, because we're the first part where we're icing. So I'll say, you'd be hearing me yelling, I need 4 bags here, 5 bags here, 6. Like, you don't want to hear that. And then you're like, dang. It's like, oh, then I'd probably scream, Omaha,
Omaha, Omaha. Well, let's say hi to some of our supporters here in the chat. Libre, we got D-Rock saying, hey, Adan and Libre.
D-Rock, what's happening, bro?
Mahai, salute to you, brother. We also got Shy Vargas saying, I'm so glad Dre Greenlaw is coming back. We are too, Shy.
Yes, sir,
and
Shy.
Your cousin Juan saying, what's happening?
What's up, Fato Loco?
Libre, I wish I could be one of the guys or be part of the celebration, or not celebration. Well, kind of. It is kind of a celebration, because the Broncos this weekend are honoring Demaryius Thomas. So it is going to be a really, really emotional weekend for Broncos fans and for anybody that has ever had the privilege of seeing Demaryius Thomas play in person. I will say, unfortunately for me, the very first Broncos game I went to in Denver in 2018 was when Demaryius Thomas got traded to the Texans. I saw him play, but I saw him play as a Texan.
Texan. That very first year that I have season tickets, which was the 2011 season, and that was the Tebow year. Being able to be in that stadium when the new playoff or the overtime rules came in effect, where if you score a touchdown in the overtime, the game was over. So when that happened, like, there was still like a lot of confusion, because we even, like, in the stands, we didn't know if, like, all right, we just scored, but did we win? Did we not win? The players even had the same type of, like, if you go back and listen to some of those interviews or whatever, they didn't even know that they won at that time until the ref said, all right, game over. But being able, my first season, to be there, to see that, seeing that it was DT 80 yards down the field on the very first play of overtime, was magical. Like, it was fun to watch him play, seeing him throughout the years, his career here. Like, I'm not going to lie, like, I've been privileged to see a lot of great Broncos great, but that's one that will be hurting this weekend a lot. So yeah, a lot of emotion. So hopefully, if you follow us on TikTok, do all that, like, especially a lot of the Bronco family that's going to be out there. Trust, there's going to be a lot of emotions. There's going to be all that, especially happening at halftime. That's when they're going to actually reveal his name in the ring of honor right there in the Bronco Stadium. So super excited for that. There's still going to be lots of emotion, especially a couple of years ago when they honored him after he had passed and so forth. So it's going to be fun.
I was thinking about this, Libre, and not to sound insensitive or anything, but if the Broncos are actually building a new stadium, shouldn't they hold off on putting names on in the Ring of Honor if the stadium's going to be demolished?
Well, they could. Well, the thing is, like, you have to remember they can go and move the whatever that is in the stadium right now and put it into the new stadium, just like they did with Bucky. They have Bucky that's out there in the south stands on top of the scoreboard. That horse that's up there right now is from the original Mile High. So they got it down during that when they were demoing the old Mile High. They took him down, put him in this. I think it was. I don't know if it was a warehouse or just some type of storage facility. But then they restored him during that time before they put him back onto the new Mile High Stadium.
I thought the one that Denver International was the one that came from the old Mile High.
No, that's Lucifer.
Right.
That's somebody sculpted that guy, that horse. And so what happened with that horse, that's a whole other story. So when the sculptor was actually building that horse, that's why they call him Lucifer, because he has those red eyes and all that. But apparently something happened where that horse actually killed the creator of it at the time. So look at the history on that. It's pretty crazy. So that's why they have all these little theories and all that about Denver International Airport and all that. So about quote unquote secret tunnels and all that. But if you ever look at it as well, DIA is the biggest international airport in the world of how many acres that it actually sits on, which is crazy.
Yeah, but again, shout out to all of our orange and blue crew that's flying out there to be at the game with Libre this weekend. I wish everybody a safe flight and just a great freaking time, man. Because I'm telling you, tailgating with Libre has got to be one of the best experiences that you can have. But
it's a little fun. Ask Johnny Baki about the Tennessee game. He knows.
Yeah. Well, I have a feeling that Johnny's going to be dancing on a table or something after a couple of modelos. Let me tell you.
or I could say after a couple of shots of Casa Breck.
I don't know what's in that little flask of his that he had when we were at the game at Indy, but I'm pretty sure it's probably right up there with that.
Yeah, it was probably whiskey. I'm not gonna lie. We were talking about whiskey a lot too, so it might have been whiskey.
Probably. He lives in Tennessee, so he lives right in the place where they brew the stuff. You know.
Oh yeah.
It didn't come out of the faucet, to be honest with you.
It might at his house. You never know.
Yeah, but ladies and gentlemen, going back to this Jets game, just to kind of get back on hand. The New York Jets are, they're one of the, well, not one of, they're the worst team in football right now for a reason. And it doesn't look like there's any other team, regardless of what the record is, that's going to be able to pry that number one draft pick from their hands. Because what we saw, and this was a Justin Fields, mind you, who the Broncos, when he was a Bear, he put up 3 touchdowns on us, and then we came back and beat Justin Fields. And then last year when he was a Steeler, he pretty much put in the work and was able to get a victory over Denver, just barely at that, mind you. And then he comes around this time. To me, I still think that Justin should have stayed in Pittsburgh because I think he flourished there a whole lot better than, Russell Wilson moving on. We all saw that. But I think that Justin, nothing against Aaron Rodgers over there. Aaron Rodgers is doing a pretty decent job. But I think that Justin fit in there a whole lot better because him and Pickens, they had really great chemistry. Okay. We have not seen any of that from Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields. So now that Garrett Wilson is out with an injury, now the Jets are in even worse shape than they were going into this game. There is so much just dysfunction in that team right now, Libre. And I don't know if you saw that whole debacle that happened just before the half was some of the worst football I have ever seen from a professional football team.
I agree with you. That we still what the heck happened there? Like, are you even playing football, bro? Like, come on.
I wholeheartedly agree. Like, what the F are they doing? And I don't know if the Broncos defensive line was laughing, because I'm pretty sure they were. I think they showed I don't know if it was Hufanga, or they showed one of the Denver Broncos players like looking around like, seriously, you guys are just gonna let the clock run down? Like, you're not gonna try, march down the field? Like, it was laughable. And that image of Garrett Wilson going off on Aaron Glenn is going to probably be the picture of the season.
Oh yeah.
You could hear the frustration, even though they probably didn't have any mics on, but you could just read his lips, So it was just kind of one of those things where, what the F are we doing? What is going on? And the fact that Justin Fields, it seemed like no matter what he did, there was really nothing that the Jets offense could do. I thought Breece Hall going into this game was going to be a problem, a threat, just like I thought Saquon was going to be the week before, but they were both pretty much not relevant, really. The linebackers did a really good job in making sure that neither one of those guys ran, well, like Saquon, except for that one pass. But I just don't know what's going on with that team, Libre. Their self-destruction and not being able to take advantage of the mistakes that the Broncos made, aside from that safety that was on the offense. There's no way when you're that close to your end zone that you risk throwing the ball and getting flagged for offensive pass interference, and because you're so close, you get a safety. That's the Broncos keeping him in the game, Libre.
Well, that was a holding penalty on Quinn Miners.
Or a hold, sorry.
So it was like, because the hold happened in the end zone, that is why they called it a safety. And of course, at that point, we didn't establish a run game in this game as well. So that's why we had to pass the ball coming out of there, especially being at the 1 yard line. So, but you clearly see that right away, even though I know the announcers or whatever called it on Garrett Bowles or whatever, but it was on Quinn Miners. And you go back and you see that he started falling and he just grabbed the jersey of that defender and pulled it. It's like, there's no way that they could not call it. And yes, it does suck that, we gave them that advantage there at that point, now that they're up at 11 points or whatever. So it's hard. But again, when I go in there, think about the IQ, the football IQ that Sean Payton does also have, because what does he do later on and goes for the 2-point conversion? Like, that forces the Jets now later on, because we converted it to because we were up by 4 points, to make them actually get a touchdown and not a field goal to tie it as well. So the IQ himself, because we had, at that point, we would have tied the game up or whatever, and then at that point it's like 2-point conversion itself.
Correct. My former co-host, my good friend Richie Rich, he's saying we need to be aggressive on the offensive line. We need those beasts right now. Bowles and Miners are it. First of all, Richie, good to see you, brother. And I know you mentioned something about my beard. My barber hasn't been around lately. That's why I haven't gone, but I need to go. I'm not used to having my mustache and my beard this long. So one of these days, it'll definitely have to go. But I do agree with you on the aspect where the offensive line needs to be better. And with the absence of Ben Powers, Libre, I really do hope that doesn't affect what we've seen, because J.K. Dobbins up until this game was playing like a bat out of hell. And he proved me wrong when I said that he was going to be struggling, that, it was going to be the RJ Harvey show. The running game, the rush attack was definitely not relevant. Not to say that the Jets front line wasn't good, but the offensive line was not getting those, was not opening the gaps for J.K. Dobbins to run through and do what he had to do. Now, I will say that Bo Nix also did struggle, but it's good to see that he's starting to kind of loosen up a little bit, and that he took advantage of a busted coverage, and he was able to get the touchdown throw. I will say that I do wish that Sean Payton would have challenged it, the secondary a lot more. Again, I do feel that he uses the screens to kind of just, kind of bail him out. And it's like kind of crossing your fingers and hope it works, It kind of reminds me of when I play Madden. Like, I take all these risks and hope that the play that I pick works and that I don't throw an interception and that I get the conversion or the touchdown, depending on what I'm trying to go for. That's how I imagine that Sean Payton is playing that game, that he was just trying all these trick plays, see what worked. And I really do think that in a game where if the running attack isn't working, then you had to challenge the secondary. I know Sauce Gardner was out there, Libre, but Sauce can't guard every single person out on that field. So hopefully they do kind of, go back to what they did in that fourth quarter against the Eagles. Evan Ingram, when you he is a weapon, but you have to throw him the ball to make him a weapon. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. But one thing that I did like about this game, though, is that Evan Ingram was there, and you actually saw that they actually used him. Like, you see that he could be that quote unquote joker that we talked about before the season when we signed him. You just need to utilize him. We haven't utilized him up until this game itself. So hopefully going forward, we're going to be seeing a lot more Evan Ingram going forward, because he's going to be able to help jumpstart this offense that we need so bad right now.
You're right. He was out there, but I felt that Sean Payton's play calling was conservative at best.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and when it's the Jets and it's the team, and I know, and I read somewhere that they made this comment that said the hardest teams to play are the ones that are at their lowest, because those are the ones that can really, they're the ones at the meeting any given Sunday. That's who they're referring to. And as we'll talk about later on in the show, there were a couple of games where, even though Libre and I in the chat, we picked them where we thought they were sure winners, it was a totally different story, Libre.
Yeah.
So, and this one was really close to being part of that. But we have to, I feel like we've talked about the offense long enough, Libre. We have to address the defense.
Wait for it. We have the best defense in the league, and that's why all these other offenses are going into cell block D, because they get locked down.
Locked down. I don't have the graphic anymore. I don't think it transferred over.
Johnny Baki, make it happen. Let's go.
Yeah, Johnny, give us back our graphic for the cell block D, and hopefully he updated it with Tufanga in his Bronco uniform and not the 49er one. But I do wholeheartedly agree that 9 sacks, Libre, that's freaking amazing. I mean, that offensive
that's awesome.
They were just literally turnstiles for that defense. Now, a lot of that, again, going back to the criticism I was talking about Justin Fields, was on Fields holding the ball on way too long.
Well, that's because of our corners were doing their job, and they were covering these guys, because that's the only way that was happening, is because of Moss and PS2 were on their guys, and he could not get anywhere with it. That's why he held it too long. So that's part of it, as why this defense is so good, is that they can cover these guys. Yes, people are still giving Riley Moss a hard time, because that's who they're always going to, but trust that he's actually doing very well. We just see these 1-2 plays here, because I even heard it still, like, oh my God, Riley Moss is this. He's just such a liability. But trust in the process. He's just seeing a lot more plays than we are seeing of PS2, because quarterbacks are staying away from PS2. But he is doing a great job this year. Yes, he's going to give up big plays. It's inevitable. PS2 will probably give up a couple of big plays for this year, but it's gonna happen. We can't be locked down the whole time. Even with the no-fly zone, you saw that they gave up big plays as well that year in 2015. But trust this process. This defense is the best. Look at what they did. Negative 10 yards passing for this game, which is unheard of in this era of football. Unheard of. Negative 10 yards passing is ridiculous.
Yeah, and as I was telling you earlier too, the fact that the Broncos, it depends on where you get your rankings from. there's been a lot. There's a lot of people that got the Broncos rated in so many different categories. The one on NFL's got the Broncos actually went down a spot, and they're 11th, if I'm not mistaken. There was one, the PFT one. I think the Broncos are in 7th. And if you guys watch Colin Cowherd and his hierarchy segment, he's got the Broncos at number 3.
Yeah,
the top 3 team in the NFL simply because of the defense. Where and Colin made the same point that almost every analyst that I've read has made, where the Broncos offense can do what they're doing in making mistakes because the defense is that damn good to clean it up.
Yeah, it's because they can lock shit down.
Yeah. So it's great to see. Again, I'm hoping crossing my fingers that Greenlaw comes back this week, because switching subjects to the segment, Libre, I guess is the right term. The New York Giants are coming into town, and Cam Scatterbo, I'm not so much worried about Jackson Dart, but I am worried about Cam Scatterbo because he's starting to be an up-and-coming running back. And the guy, he kind of reminds me of what Javonte Williams was when we first drafted him. That's the feeling that I get when I see him playing, fighting for yards and pushing and being that guy. And again, we've given our fair criticism to Singleton and Sternad over the last couple of weeks. But if we can get Dre Greenlaw on that field, then that would definitely help reinforce that linebacker core and just get Greenlaw accustomed and working out any rust he may have accumulated since the last time he played on a football field.
I agree, but I also don't really fear him as well right now. When you go back and look at the teams he played, look at the defenses. He hasn't played anybody that is elite as our current defense. Yes, I know I'm redundant because of our defense and whatnot, and the teams haven't seen us, but our defense has locked down a lot of people. A lot, especially this year. Going back to last year, going to this year itself, we're still going to continue to do that, and they haven't seen a defense like this yet. And they are going to – I feel like Jackson Dart and Scatterbo are going to struggle this weekend. I have a couple of people at work that are Giants fans. I understand it. They are from the East Coast, but they are Giants fans, but they think that Scatterbo is going to be running all over this defense. And I go, have you seen our defense yet? I go, have you even watched Broncos, bro?
I don't know if you saw the segment from last week, but Johnny messed up, man. When I made a joke about, being Broncos, bro, and Johnny hit the intro button.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, so I had to pull it out and like, no. This is the wrong show, Johnny. This is not Broncos, bro.
That's funny.
Oh man, it killed. I got to pull his head up on the clips because it's not every day you get to see Johnny make those types of mistakes. And I know he's probably yelling at his computer right now, but I don't care. But again, I'm not trying. I really wish this was Russell Wilson starting, Libre, because we were robbed of the Russell Wilson revenge game last year against the Steelers, and I feel like we're being robbed of it this time. Although I will make a quick a prediction, Libre, where I say if Jackson Dart struggles like he did against the Saints, where he's turning the ball over, instead of Russell Wilson, I think that the Giants might turn to like Jameis Winston, which I'm surprised he's still on the Giants. I thought he would have been traded by now. But a part of me doesn't think that that'll happen. I think that they're probably going to let him try to kind of work through it and just keep Russell Wilson on the side benched. Because if you saw last week what happened in Philadelphia when Jackson Dart was in the blue tent and Russell Wilson went in there for one play and I think he threw it straight into the ground or some crazy thing like that. And they could not have gotten Dart back out on that field against the Eagles. So a part of me wants to see it. It'll be I mean, what are your feelings about seeing Russell Wilson back in Denver, Libre, but as a Giant this time around?
It doesn't matter because he's not playing. Like, he can come in, he can go visit the other locker room, he can come in and say, "Let's ride." Like how your cup says, like you still have a cup that still says that, but you should just throw it away already.
No way, man. Let's ride forever, bro.
But my problem is like he's irrelevant to like the situation. I was even like talking about like how long is it going to take before Jackson Dart? He's not going to make it to week 7, and we saw that already. He came in, and from the moment that they made that change, that offense became better. They're super hot right now because of that. I don't know if it is because of the change and they're now fired up under Jackson Dart, and Jackson Dart has just been playing a lot better than what Russell was. But again, now that we have a couple of weeks of film on him, I'm going to let you know that Vance Joseph is going to be there, and being able to say, you know what, here's his tendencies. This is what we're going to have. We have an elite coordinator, defensive coordinator, that's going to go in there and break him down, where he's not going to know what side is going to come first. Is it going to be Bonito? Is it going to be Cooper? Like, you're now facing the back-to-back defensive players of the week. Bonito last week, this week Jonathan Cooper. They're going to come up, and at one point they're going to meet in the middle, and Jackson Dart's going to be there still holding the ball for a 5-yard, 6-yard loss.
I really do hope you're right. I really do. But I will say, speaking on the Giants half, what Scatabo and Dart have done, I think Brian Dable I hope he bought them a hell of a dinner, because he owes them everything in terms of him keeping his job. Because if the Giants would have lost those games that Jackson won for him, he would have been gone way before the Titans fired their head coach, Brian Callahan, yesterday. So he definitely saved the job. I was not expecting any, kind of sidebar here, Libre. I was not expecting any head coach to get fired this early in the season so far.
Same. It was a surprise when I saw that they fired him, but it's rightfully so. It's the same thing like when McDummy was either here in Denver and when he was in LA. I mean, not LA, but Vegas. Mm-hmm. So like he had a year and some change, and there was nothing that he was able to do, especially there. That's why they go, you know what, we have to go in another direction because this is not working.
Although I will say, I did not know that Mike McCoy was still in the league. So the fact that he's the interim head coach, I was like,
but again, interim. That's why they need to name somebody and he's probably the next best guy that's there in Tennessee right now. I still think it's so funny that I like these Tennessee fans, especially on TikTok. Yes, you guys on TikTok that still think that Cam Ward is the savior of your team. He might be. It's just not with the offense that's currently there.
I will say I am disappointed in them that they did not beat the Raiders. And I'm disappointed in the Dolphins not beating the Chargers, losing like they did. And I'm disappointed in the refs helping the Chiefs beat the Lions, because it feels like that's the only way they could have beaten Detroit, is with the refs help.
Yeah. No, really, it was. And that's how it felt like anyways.
Yeah. So I'll argue anybody about that. But, I mean, I do think, Libre, going into this Giants game, that the offense is going to hopefully wake up and not play with their food like they did against the Jets, especially because the Giants are a better team than the Jets currently.
Yeah.
But I don't think that the Giants are good enough to beat Denver at home, let alone their defense. So,
well, I agree with you 100% with that. And then especially the way that this game is coming into it, we have an this team is invested into this. Not only is it DT going into the Ring of Fame, it's also we're celebrating the 10th anniversary of Super Bowl 50 champs. So just the whole weekend itself going into this game there's just so much emotion, so much stuff that this team is going into. Like, how could you want to come into this week and then just lay an egg? I feel that this team is going to be ready, even though they're flying back from London this week and still having that jet lag. But I feel like they're going to show up for this game.
Yeah, I was about to say I would think that they probably flew back in Sunday.
Right after that game. Yeah,
right
as soon as that game was over, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that they'll be okay. I mean, hell, if the defense was able to play like that overseas after, you know, riding that high of beating the world champion Eagles, but that'll be great. I think so. Before the start of the game, when they do the coin flip and all that, seeing the two teams that currently gave the Eagles their losses back to back, I mean, it's a beautiful thing, Libre. You gotta love it.
Just seeing that as well, just looking at it, and you know the Eagles they're not the Eagles of last year. You can already see that. And as again, that happens to a lot of championship teams. They're no longer the same team, because a lot of times when you get that championship, now you say, okay, we're satisfied with what we did. We don't have to work as hard, so they take everything a little bit easier and whatnot. But guess what? The Broncos come into town, hand you your first loss. You play the next week, you lose again. So we just started a trend there for the Philly fans. Just so you know.
Yeah, like I said last week, I'd like to believe that the Broncos laid the blueprint down on how to beat the Eagles, and it's a blueprint that the Bucks couldn't do. It's a blueprint that the Rams couldn't do, Cowboys, and I forget what other team they beat. But it doesn't matter because, and I was arguing with an Eagles fan on TikTok because he was like, "Oh, you know, it's okay, one loss, you know, they're still 4-1, blah blah," and I was like, "Yeah." But every time you have to look at that one, you'll always know where that one came from. And this was me being cocky because I didn't think the Eagles would lose to the Giants, Libre, especially at the Meadowlands. I thought that the Eagles were going to come firing on all cylinders and, you know, make an example of the Giants and get back in the win column, especially for the fact that the Eagles didn't have Jalen Carter for that game. But I don't even think that if Carter would have played, I don't think it would have made that much of a difference because Scatabo was just playing.
He tore it up.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So kudos to that kid for going out there and doing what he did and getting to do a backflip on the Eagles in his home stadium. And if luck favors the bold, it could happen again in a couple of weeks when they meet up for their second matchup where he'll do a backflip in Philly. And can you imagine, Libre, if the Giants go in there and upset and sweep the defending champions? Like, that would be crazy, man. It really would. But going back into this game, I think that the Giants are walking into a buzzsaw.
Yes, they are.
And a part of me, the only part of that defense where I can probably say, like, I don't know, would probably be maybe an issue is Brian Burns. Because Brian Burns is still a good pass rusher. So is Thibodeau. And those guys have been doing a pretty impressive job for what little they can. But the thing with Brian Burns, and I saw this in a couple of Giants games, is like there's a point where he gets tired, man, for the simple fact that the Giants defense is out there for so long. You know. So.
Well, yeah. And then you have to remember, if we can get this offense if we can get first downs and whatnot and actually extend some drives, you're at mile high. The altitude will affect you, and it's going to be there late in the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter. If we can have these long drives going on and having them out there, trust me, like they're going to be too winded. They're not going to be able to play to their potential, and we'll take advantage of them.
Mm-hmm. And I wholeheartedly agree too. I will say that I am not taking anybody in this game for granted. Expect, from Jackson Dart to Scatabo to I forget that tight end that I saw whose name was being mentioned. But I do think that their backs will be up against the wall, especially for the fact that they were supposed to go and steamroll New Orleans a couple weeks ago, as I mentioned earlier, and they just laid an egg and they had like 3-4 turnovers in that game. One of them with Scatabo fumbled and the Saints defense returned it back for a touchdown. So while they're young, they're still green around the ears, Libre, and I do feel that they're going to make mistakes, and that's why I'm still crossing my fingers. And I'll say it one more time: I really do hope that Greenlaw gets the green light to start, because if you throw Greenlaw into that defense, which is already playing fantastic, woo-wee.
Ooh, that's right. That's just his intensity that he already comes out and then play is going to be that next level that we need. So, and again, I also look at it as well. We don't want to rush him because it is a soft tissue injury that he has. He was limited in practice today. Let's ease him back in. He's not in football shape because I don't know what he's been doing. Hopefully he's been working out, getting all that. He's not in full football shape yet, as like everyone else is. We already have 6 games under their belts, and he's now just barely going into game 1 of the season for himself. But as long as he's out there, he's ready to go. I would love to see him out there as well, because he will definitely wreak havoc right there in the middle. And good luck to any of these offenses that are trying to run or pass the ball for the rest of the season.
Agreed. Ladies and gentlemen, Libre and I have reached the end of regulation, which means it is time for us to go into some overtime.
Let's go. Is sponsored by Casa Breck.
Casa Breck.
Let's go. Woo-woo. Tequila by Breckenridge Distillery.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Broncos Talk Overtime. If this is your first time here, this is the segment where Libre and I let down our hair figuratively, and we open the doors and talk about whatever it is that is on our minds. Normally in the off season, we just talk about whatever is there, and we're still free to do so if we like. But during the regular season, Libre and I like to give out our predictions for the rest of the week's games, just to kind of, little fun here that we like to have here on the show. So Libre, currently, after I did the points, I have 56, you have 53, and the chat caught up to me, and we are tied at 56 points.
Okay. Well, I see you, chat.
So chat's been doing. I thought I was going to run away with it, especially after I took the lead last week. But there were a couple of games that I can't believe I got wrong, Libre. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get this started. So we got the Thursday night football game tomorrow. We have the 4-1 Pittsburgh Steelers going on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals at 2-4. I will say, Libre, I don't know why Cleveland traded Joe Flacco to Cincinnati. You hardly ever see division rivals trade players. I still think the Bengals should have went and got Jameis Winston. I know he comes with, as a double-edged sword, but I still think that he probably would have been in a much better spot than Flacco. And
last week Flacco really struggled. But again, it happened during the middle of the week, and they started him right away as well. So I understand, I agree with you 100% as to why they don't do divisional trades a lot, because it doesn't it's not something that you want to do. But because the Bengals are such in dire need of having a quarterback right now, they had to do something, because Jake Browning was not doing it. He wasn't the guy they thought he was during the season. That's why they got him as the backup, and they found out real quick that he's not. But for my pick, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm taking the Steelers too.
You can't steal my pick.
I mean, Jamar Chase kind of seems to have found some ground with Joe Flacco, but that Steelers defense, man, Flacco might not have time to throw the ball to Jamar Chase.
No,
and I think the Bengals will be lucky if they win another game, unless they play a team that's worse than them, like a Tennessee or the Raiders or the Jets. So I wouldn't be surprised if by halftime it's they're up by 3 scores or something crazy like that.
Right.
I still think the Bengals should have been sellers, and I still think they should. I think they should have gotten free up some money on their books, trade Hendrickson, see what you can get for what's his name? Not Jamar Chase, the other wide receiver. I can't think of his name.
Higgins.
Thank you, T. Higgins. So,
but part of it, I think why teams are afraid to do that because they just paid them, and they come with a high value, a high salary cap hit to the team itself. So I can see why teams are not going and trying to flounder and get to them. If it was like the last year of their deal, then I can see teams saying, you know what, we'll take 1 year of a hit, but we're going to restructure your deal and get it more of as a team friendly. But because they paid both of those guys, that's why you're not going to see a trade for either one of them.
I agree. Then on Sunday, we have the last game in London, Libre, which is the Los Angeles Rams at 4-2, hitting the road against, hitting the road technically, against the Jaguars, who are also 4-2. I will say I'm disappointed in Jacksonville. I thought that they were going to stay on pace with Seattle last week, and especially coming off of that big win against Kansas City on Monday Night Football. So, and the Rams did what they had to do against Baltimore. And I gotta say, I gotta give credit where credit's due. Cohen has done a fantastic job with turning that Jaguars team around. I mean, 4-2 at this point. I mean, last year the Jaguars couldn't get out of their own way, and
you have Travis Hunter.
Yeah, Travis Hunter. I don't think that Travis Hunter's being utilized correctly. I still think he's struggling. So, but there's plenty of time to correct all of the mistakes that he makes and, find ways to make him better on the offense. The Rams, I was more confident with the Rams with Puka Nacua going into this game, but I don't think Puka's going to play. So
the way it looks like it, I don't think he's going to play either, just because of that ankle injury that he sustained this last weekend. It's going to be tough. This for me, myself, is a tough game to pick.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Rams still have Tutu Atwell. They still have Kyrie Williams, and they still have Devontae Adams, which are all very good weapons. And they might, elevate somebody that we don't know about that might go out there, and show out. But I still think that the Rams are good enough to win this game, and the Jaguars are still good enough to lose it. So I'm going to stick with the Rams on this one.
Well, here is my one game closer to you, because I'm going with the Jaguars.
Libre. Always my nemesis. And Chad says Rams.
So I got one more on the chat, too. So dropping that lead from you guys.
Next, we have the New Orleans Saints at 1-5, hitting the road against the Chicago Bears. So the Bears are coming to my home, well, not my hometown, but where I lived. The Bears, I gotta admit, Monday Night Football, I can't believe that they won that game. Mother Nature definitely looked out for them, I want to say, because that rain definitely had a hand in that fumble. I don't care what nobody says. And shout out to Jake Moody for making up for that block kick earlier in that game and getting the game-winning field goal and exacting the revenge on the Commanders. The Saints continue to be the Saints. I didn't even see that game last week, but I heard that Juwan Johnson fumbled in the end zone or going to the end zone, something like that, which cost him the game. And Caleb Williams, although he didn't play like the most fantastic against the Commanders, I wouldn't be surprised if Caleb struggles in this game, just for the simple fact that the Saints are not exactly pushovers. But I think that the Bears are good enough to win at home. So I'm going to say Chicago.
I agree. The Bears.
And chat says Osos. That's Bears in Spanish, by the way, folks.
What?
OSO? Oh. Miami hitting the road at 1-5, going to Cleveland, who was also 1-5. So I guess this is your toilet bowl game of the week, Libre?
Yeah. And they're in Cleveland, you said, right?
Yeah. Paul Brown Stadium. I mean, Miami was good enough to win last week, and there's no way. And I know I shouldn't be saying that because we also missed a sack on Justin Herbert, and he was still able to find Keenan Allen in the end zone. But come on, man. Letting Lad McConkey run for 45 yards and setting them up for the game-winning field goal, I mean, that just hurts, man.
Right.
So, and I don't have any faith in that Cleveland Browns offense until Shador suits up. I don't think the Browns are going to win another game unless their defense comes out and, goes up like 2 scores or something. So I'm going to stick with Miami on this one.
I agree with you as well. I'm going to go with the Fins. Like how they say, fins up. But with Shador, if he's that good, why is he the backup? Even before that, when they named Dylan Gabriel as the starting quarterback, they didn't even have Shador. And this is when Flacco was on the team. They had Shador as the third string quarterback. So they obviously see something that he's not to the point where he needs to be right now. Even if he goes out there, he might have 1 or 2 good series, but I don't think he's there quite yet. I don't think he's a quite NFL quarterback there. He might be 3 years down the road or whatnot, but as of right now, even if he's playing this weekend, I still think that Tua and Klein are going to do that, even with Tua coming out with an apology after whatever he said this last weekend.
Agreed. Next, we have the Las Vegas Raiders at 2-4 going on the road to Kansas City, who's at 3-3. Again, this is the one game that I wish could end in a tie. I hate both of these teams. As much as I hate to say it, Rashid Rice is coming back this week, Libre, which is another weapon for Patrick Mahomes. And the Raiders defense, while Max Crosby is good at what he does, he can't play all over the field. And Geno Smith, I mean, that guy, how he is not worse than Justin Fields is beyond me. I think he leads the league in interceptions currently. So I wouldn't be surprised if Gentry runs the ball for the entire game and Geno Smith doesn't throw a single pass. Brock Bowers' injury is kind of concerning to me. So, but I think the Chiefs unfortunately win this game.
I agree. The Raiders are going to Raider. The Chiefs are going to find a way to just barely win. Patrick Mahomes throwing behind his back for a first down late in the third quarter. Chiefs.
Next, we have the Philadelphia Eagles at 4-2 hitting the road against the 3-2 Minnesota Vikings, who are coming off of their bye week. I think for me, the thing that's probably going to decide this game, Libre, is who suits up at quarterback for the Vikings. If it's McCarthy or if it's Carson Wentz again, because McCarthy needs another week. But the thing that's keeping the Vikings in contention is their defense, I would say. So the Eagles, I don't know what the hell's going on with the Eagles, to be honest with you. I can't really put my finger on it. But I will say that I do think that the Vikings are good enough to if the Giants can upset the Eagles and the Broncos can upset the Eagles, then the Vikings can too if their offense can play some clean football. So I'm going to say that the Vikings, I believe, will win this game, Libre. Maybe by a field goal. And chat says Vikings.
Here's another game. So it looks like right now I'm going to be 1 game behind you guys because I'm going to go with the Eagles because I don't see them losing 3 games in a row.
Ooh, Libre. Well, enjoy third place, my friend.
Oh, no. I'm going to be 1 game behind you guys now.
Yeah. The Panthers at 3-3 are hitting the road and going to the Meadowlands to go visit the New York Jets, who are 0-6. I'm not going to even waste time with this one, Libre. It's going to be, I think the Panthers are going to win. Bryce Young seems to be proving me wrong, and I'm this close to eating crow on when I said that Andy Dalton was this close to, being the starter for the remainder of the season. But he had a fantastic comeback win against the Cowboys last week. I don't think any expected the Cowboys to lose.
No.
So I'm going to say Panthers, my friend.
Same here. This Jets team just in general is not good. So yes, I go with the Panteras.
Carolina. Next, we have the New England Patriots at 4-2 going on the road to face the Tennessee Titans, who are at 1-5. We talked about it earlier. Brian Callahan is no longer the head coach at Tennessee. He's out. Mike McCoy is the interim head coach going forward. I don't know if Mike McCoy can turn that offense around. I want to say no.
It's going to be tough.
And especially against the New England Patriots, who are literally on a hot streak right now with the wins that they've accumulated. I mean, beating the Buffalo Bills and taking first place in their division is impressive. So, got to give credit where credit is due for Drake May. So, I'm going to say Patriots win this one.
Same. And so does the chat.
Okay. Next, we have the Indianapolis Colts at 5-1, going on the road to play the Los Angeles Chargers, who are 4-2. I will say the Colts win over Arizona was impressive. That game was a nail biter. Jacoby Brissett, man, I don't know if Kyler Murray could have taken the Cardinals that close like Brissett did. That guy was playing his heart out, but those interceptions that he threw were really, really costly. And there's just something about Indianapolis, Libre. Jonathan Taylor has been playing some of the best football I've seen. And I wouldn't be surprised if he takes over that running game and runs all over the Chargers. Kind of like how the rookie running back from Washington last week did. Not last week, but 2 weeks ago. And, was able to get the win over LA. And so I'm going to say that the Colts win this game, Libre.
I agree with you as well. I'm going to go with the Colts just because I want to see the Chargers lose and then us winning, taking over the number one spot in the division. But like how you said, Jonathan Taylor is going to be out there. He's going to run havoc, not only because he's my RB1 in my fantasy team, but he's going to have over 150 yards rushing with possibly 2-3 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm. The Green Bay Packers at 3-1-1. Hate that freaking one. Going on the road to play the Arizona Cardinals at 2-4. So that injury to Kyler Murray's foot is still kind of like TBD. But I think that Jacoby Brissett has been giving this team a much better chance of winning than Kyler Murray. Although the injury to Marvin Harrison, I don't know what happened to him, but I hope he's okay. But the Packers are trying to make a bounce back, and they kind of made that statement beating Joe Flacco and the Bengals last week. So we still haven't seen a whole lot from Micah Parsons in terms of him being the world beater that we've seen him be with Dallas, but I'm guessing he's still kind of getting used to playing in a new team and new defense and that. So that takes time. But I'm going to say that the Packers win this one, Libre.
Go Pack, go.
Copycat in chat says
Packers as well.
Next, we have the Washington Commanders at 3-3 hitting the road against the Dallas Cowboys at 2-3-1. You know what? I would have been a whole lot more confident picking Washington if they'd have won on Monday Night, Libre. But seeing what I saw, I mean, this is going to be a really tough one because the Cowboys defense was terrible.
But you also have to look at it differently as well. This is a divisional game. Mm-hmm. So when you look at divisional games, you can't look at them as a regular game itself because they see them twice a year. They know who they are. These games are always a struggle, especially to pick these ones. Mm-hmm. But for me, I'm going in, and the Cowboys are going to come in. They're going to have a good victory against the Washington. Then they're going to let up. And then when they come to the Mile High City, when next week comes around, the Broncos are going to be out there and destroy them. And it's also one of my signing moments as well for next week as well. We'll talk about that next week when everything is happening. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys.
I'm going to pick the Commanders because I think they get back Scary Terry. If they get back Scary Terry, that Cowboys defense is in trouble, my friend. Let me tell you. And that Commanders defense is going to have their handful trying to, keep Pickens in line, who's been really going on a tear.
And Javonte Williams too. He's been having a great year as well too.
And credit and shout out to Javonte. I know we gave you a lot of crap because we didn't think you were going to flourish in a new team and a new offense, but you've proven us wrong, man. Congratulations on what you've done, and best of luck.
So what are we going to do here now? Look at the chat. The chat is split as well. Do Washington. We take Juan because Juan's been in here the whole time? Because Shai put in Washington, Juan put in Cowboys.
Well, that's a good question. I would say majority vote, but there's only 2 people in chat right now.
Yeah. I would go and I would more favor to Juan because he's been in here every single week. Even the 1 week that he wasn't there, he gave me the picks, itself. That's just me. I'll leave it up to you on how you want to decide to do that. Or we give him a tie for that.
I mean, I already wrote down Washington because I thought I saw Washington. I saw it said Shy. I don't know. We'll come back
Shy
to
put it for yeah.
Falcons at 2-2 going on the road. Sunday night football game against the 49ers, who are 4-2. I gotta say that injury to Fred Warner was just terrible, man. That's the last thing. I think the 49ers are cursed or something, man. The amount of people they have on IR or injured and all that is just terrible. But speedy recovery to Fred Warner. Can't wait to see him back on the field next year. The Falcons beating the Bills. I don't think anybody had that on their bingo card on Monday Night Football.
I didn't.
So if they can beat the Bills, they can beat almost anybody. And who knows? I guess maybe that bye week did them some much needed good. I mean, Bijan Robinson is playing like a man possessed, So I'm going to ride the hot hand in that regard. I'm going to say the Falcons win that game.
Oh yeah. The Falcons will lose. I don't see them doing 2 weeks in a row.
Okay, and chat says 49ers.
The Niners.
Then we have Monday Night Football. They really got to do away with these 2 games, bro. It is really annoying. I'm sorry.
It's ridiculous. I agree with you. Like, I don't know. Like, we had this conversation, especially when the Bronco game when we played Cincinnati, and we talked like when did they do this? They haven't done this. I don't know if they're trying to get more teams, more primetime games, but then you're just competing with each other because one starts just an hour earlier and then the next one is an hour later. So you're still competing with that. So that's just weird.
Yeah. So it's kind of like not a lot of people watch both games at once because I think they're trying to favor like the people that are like at bars or somewhere where it's got double access on one hand. On the other hand, I think that since they came out with their that ESPN app or whatever, that they're really trying to pump people to get it. So I think it's really annoying, and
I agree.
They're going to lose a lot of people, piss off a lot of people, or maybe even lose some along the way. So I hope it goes back to normal next season. But the first game we have on hand is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 5-1, going on the road against the Detroit Lions at 4-2. Now, I will say that the Lions' banged up defense, it's almost reminiscent of what they were going towards the end of the season last year.
Mm-hmm.
The offense is good enough to put up points, but when Jared Goff struggles or the running game makes a mistake, the defense cannot get them the ball back in terms of without keeping the defense in check, or the opposing offense in check. Now, the game on Monday night against the Chiefs, or Sunday night, I'm sorry, that game was tough because the Chiefs had the refs in their pocket. I don't care what anybody says. And if it wasn't for that, maybe we wouldn't have that ugly scuffle between Juju Smith and Brian Branch. And the Lions, because of what happened, the league suspended Brian Branch for 1 game, so they're down another defensive player. And the Bucs, I mean, Baker Mayfield, looking like MVP almost every single freaking game. So this is going to be a tough game, especially since Tampa Bay is going to want revenge because the Lions were the team that knocked them out of the playoffs 2 years ago. So I'm going to say that the Bucs win this game, Libre.
For me, I think Baker Mayfield is going to take advantage of this injured defense of the Lions. Baker, I've already indicated that Baker might be the MVP of the league, just the way that he's played.
Yeah. So, but hey, kudos to them. And then the last game, we have the Houston Texans coming off of their bye at 2-3, hitting the road against the Seattle Seahawks at 4-2. Now I will say that Smith and Jigba is looking like rookie of the offensive rookie of the year, or not rookie offensive rookie of the year in that regard. Like he's starting to be that type of player. And I got to give credit where credit's due. I may have been wrong about Sam Darnold. Maybe he could be the guy that the Seahawks need. I thought he was going to struggle, but the Seahawks have a really good defense in Mike McDonald. So the fact that they were go over to and do what they did to Jacksonville and completely neutralize, the running game from Trevor Lawrence and just pretty much take away all that magic that he had from the previous game against the Chiefs. And the Texans beat up two really bad teams. They beat up the Texans and the Ravens. So I'm going to say Seattle wins that game, Libre.
Just how my primo said it. Let me take the Sea Chickens.
And that is going to do it for our picks today. And that is also going to do it for our segment. Ladies and gentlemen, Libre and I would like to thank everybody that was here with us in the chat on TikTok. If there's still anybody watching me, thank you guys so much for being here. 14 likes on the stream. Hey, that's amazing.
Woo
woo. Especially for it being a non-game stream. It's even better. Shout out to Quan, Shy, my former co-host, Richie Rich, who stopped by. I know he's not here, but appreciate it. D-Rock, of course. And we're only missing Johnny Baki. It's the only guy that, but I don't blame him. He's getting ready for Nuggets football. So I'm pretty sure he's sitting in his lazy boy right now with his jersey talking about, damn you, Adam.
That's funny.
Go Bulls, by the way, because I know that pisses him off. Go Bulls.
Hey, did you see what happened to the Nuggets, what they did to the Bulls last night?
That preseason game?
Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's preseason or not.
Your bench is better than ours. Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah. Whoop. I'll take that.
I'm expecting that text as soon as he sees it. Like, our preseason bench better than yours. You're fired.
You know what? You sounded just like him.
Oh, bro, I love those text messages from him. I heard what you said about me, you mind. Because I forget he watches the show from start to end.
Yep. That's hilarious.
That's great. But ladies and gentlemen, Libre and I are going to head out of here for the night, depending on what time you're watching us. But we got a couple of things we want to ask of you before we head on out of here. First of all, if you can show your support for us here on the Orange and Blue Network and on the show, if you can subscribe, share, comment, and like. If there's anything you heard us say that you agree or don't agree with or just want to give your thoughts about and you're not able to join us live, it's okay. Leave your comments down on the section, and Libre and I will get back to you as soon as we can with a response. Also, to all of our audio listeners listening to us after the fact, 5-star reviews are very much appreciated for us here on the show. If you like, you can screenshot, send us a picture of that review, and send it to one of our socials on Twitter. And Libre and I will more than likely be happy to shout you guys out here live on the show. My Twitter handle is at 6'10" Mexican. Bronco Libre is at Bronco Libre 5280. For any business inquiries, you can email at broncostalk2020@gmail.com. Shout out to W for being a continued sponsor of the show. If you use the code OBN10, you'll get 10% off your order at checkout. Again, that code is OBN10 to get your 10% off. Shout out to W for being a continued sponsor for us here on the show and all the shows here on the Orange and Blue Network. I am envious. I'm telling you, I'm so jelly, as the kids say nowadays, that you're going to be at the game this weekend, Libre, with all my friends and for the Ring of Honor ceremony. But I hope you guys I hope you guys all have fun. Hope you have a great time. Enjoy the $5 nachos that I unfortunately will not be able to.
I'll send you a picture of them.
I know you would. You be that. Man, I hope they don't give you jalapenos, bro.
I like jalapenos on a
like
steak.
This, babe. On a steak.
Chef Don Hub.
But ladies and gentlemen, please make sure to tune in for us on Friday for Viva Los Broncos, which will be back on the air. Again, please keep in mind that is an all Spanish show. So with that being said, I'm Adan Diaz, He's Bronco Libre. This has been Broncos Talk on the Orange and Blue Network. And with that, we say good day, good night, and as always, go Broncos!
Go Broncos! Let's go! Yeah!
You know what? I like the other one better, Libre. I don't know why. Probably because I say it a lot at work and it probably pisses people off. How about them Broncos?
How about them Broncos?
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we can save that for next week because you know how they always say, how about them Cowgirls? But we'll say, how about them Broncos?
Yeah. Wait, go ahead. Do it one more time.
How about them Broncos? Let's go.